rather important chapter for your written report. Of course, the written report accounts for 40% of your total assessment. And that's why stay calm and be patient and try to understand the concept, okay? So this will be my schedule for today. And of course, next week we have another presentation, and the presentation group has made appointment with me at about 6. So I hope I can finish everything on time so that after the 3-hour class, I can take up the appointment for the student consultation. Okay, so this will be the schedule for today. Okay, so let's move to the first item. So I will come back to this whiteboard again from time to time. So I will take away this, and then now time for you to check the attendance. And here comes the QR code, which is here. Hold on, QR code. Okay, hold on. All right, the password for today will be simple: 45678 4 5 6 7 8 9 4 5 6 7 8 9 Okay, so check attendance first for the first 2 hours. Suppose theoretically speaking, lecture time first. All right. And if you have finished checking the attendance, you can type done. If I see a lot of people finished, and then I will thank you so much. Got 3, 4, and let me see. Yes, very efficient. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, very good. Yes, okay. Thank you, Esther. Second, or others, and then I will take away in few minutes, few seconds time. Thank you. Okay, good. I presume a lot of you have done so. If not, just go to the website and then password 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, so we KO first item. Now, I will take away the whiteboard and allow the presentation group to share their PowerPoint slide. And of course, also try to turn on microphone to see whether your microphone works or not. So after that, critique group, copy and paste, get ready to question so that you can pop up the question in the chat room and turn on your microphone to ask questions. Okay, so I will take away the whiteboard and presentation group. You try to see whether you can share the file and text the microphone. Yes, very clear.
Hello?
I can see it now, which is good.
Hello?
Okay, so
Can you hear me?
yes, pretty noise, good. A voice, not noise, a pretty voice, good. And then others try to test the microphone. Hope it works. Let me add some people. Okay. All right, and is your group ready?
Why?
Hi, yes. Okay. If your group is ready for the presentation, yes, you can start anytime, please.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are Group D. Today, we are going to introduce the enterprise called TOMS to you all. Here is the table of contents showing that what we will talk about later. We will have our group photos, our warm-up session, some introduction about the enterprise, and then we'll answer questions about the case study. And lastly, we will have a part for reference. And next page. Here are our group photos.
good. 4 pretty ladies. You can move on. Yes, which is good.
Before we start our presentation, I want to ask 2 questions. What will you do if you have shoes that you don't wear anymore?
Okay, classmate, try to participate. All right, turn on microphone or type in chat room. And for JTO, if I don't have shoes that I won't wear anymore, you know, I will float away simply because, you know, people might not want to recycle JTO's Hong Kong food, okay? Okay, as somebody say, donate to someone, which is good idea, but for shoes, I don't know whether people will think personal hygiene. Okay, so any more response from classmate? Donation?
Have you ever think that you can buy shoes and help someone in need at the same time?
Yes or no for classmate to see whether you will respond. Thank you, Jill. Always a very participative. Thank you, which is good.
Yes, someone
Yes.
say no.
Good. Somebody say no, somebody say yes.
Thank you for answering my questions. Then let me show you a video to know about Tom's one-for-one concept.
Can you hear the sound? Excuse me, can you
No.
hear the beat? No?
Not for me, but I'm talking classmate.
Mm,
No. Okay, people also say no.
can't hear the sound like, wait a minute.
Maybe you can copy and paste the link and then stop sharing your PowerPoint slide and share your screen, you know, in the YouTube or something. Yes, there are technical problems from time to time. Okay, J2 also experienced that kind of things. So sad, yes. Try first and copy and paste the link to see whether it works. Share the screen with the YouTube, try it.
So please wait a moment.
Okay, yeah, it's okay, understandable.
Um, how about now?
We can see the YouTube and see the micro, turn on the mic to see.
Yeah, I have turned it on, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why. Maybe
I think you have the subtitle, right?
yeah, have subtitle.
Okay,
Maybe.
so yes, just play it and people without listening, but look at the subtitle at the bottom of the screen.
And I'm stuck now.
Okay, good, thank you.
see. Stop. What happened?
Take it easy, don't worry. All right. So while you're loading file, the video talk about the entrepreneur is called Ray Mickoski. I think they will do it in the introduction. He traveled to Argentina, and after he see the student without shoes, got a lot of disease, and then bling, the idea comes up. All right. And then see whether you can go back to the share screen about your PowerPoint slide. And after the founder sees that people in Argentina without shoes got a lot of disease, and then, as I said, bling, the idea, if people buy a pair, I will donate one pair. So some sort of charity at the same time for profit making. Okay, yes, now I will hand back the stage to you.
Okay. After watching this video, I think you will have some basic ideas about Tom's. Now I will talk about the founder and the story of Tom's. Blake Mickoski is the founder of Tom's. Before establishing Tom's, Mickoski had 4 entrepreneurial experiences. At the age of 19, he set up his first business, EZ Laundry, with $1,500. The purpose was to deliver laundry to college students. In less than 4 years, the company has 40 employees, operates 7 universities, and has accumulated revenue of $1 million. This experience made Mickoski fall in love with entrepreneurship, and as a result, he has successively opened outdoor advertising companies and online driving teaching companies. But not every time he started his business successfully. Next page, please. In 2006, Blake Mickoski traveled to Argentina and saw countless children walking around barefoot. Mickoski began noticing that the people with shoes were all wearing a similar one, the alpargata. After meeting an American woman hosting a shoe drive, he was inspired to start a business with the one-for-one model in mind. He decided that for every pair the company sold, they will give one to a child. Before he fell home, he was able to have 250 sample shoes created. He launched Tom's with only himself and 3 interns working at the company in his Los Angeles apartment. After selling 10,000 pairs, Mickoski, his family, and a few others traveled to Argentina to do their first shoe drop, where they passed out the shoes to many children in need. They will talk about Tom's. Next page, please. Tom's is a for-profit company based in Los Angeles, founded in 2006 by Blake Mickoski. The company designs and markets shoes as well as eyewear, coffee, apparel, and handbags. The company name is derived by the word tomorrow and evolved from the original concept, Shoes for Tomorrow project. Next page, please. Tom's business model is known as the one-for-one concept, which is referring to the company's promise to deliver a pair of free shoes to a child in need for every sale of their retail product. The business has gone beyond producing shoes and has included eyewear, coffee, apparel, and handbags in Tom's product lines. Tom's used the same one-for-one concept to sell it. Take one as an example. In 2015, Tom's Bed collection was launched to help contribute to advancements in maternal health. Purchases of Tom's Bed help provide training for skilled birth attendants and distribute birth kits containing items that help women practice safe childbirth. Next page, please. The company used word-of-mouth advocacy for much of its sales, strengthening its business focus on corporate social responsibility. Part of this model originally involved a non-profit arm called Friends of Tom's that recruit volunteers to help the shoe distributions in foreign countries. So far, Tom's has donated over 95 million pairs of shoes and earned $392 million in 2019. This simple and easy to understand buy one give one concept successfully evoked customer sense of social responsibility. While helping others, the company also can earn revenue. Then I'll pass to my good mate to answer the 3 questions.
Now we would like to talk about the questions, and here is the 3 questions that we will try to answer. First one is, what is Tom's target market and how make this market change in the future? And the second question is, what revenue stream does Tom's have that support how the firm compares, and how sustainable are these revenue streams? And the third question is, what the key assets does Tom's possess, and how sustainable are those assets? First, I would like to answer about the first question. And this question has divided into 2 parts. And first is part A, what is the Tom target market? And to introduce this target market, we will need to know who are the main buyers first. In general, both gender of teenagers and young adults who ages 13 to 35 years old will buy their products the most, and also for the high schoolers and the older degree holders, and also for both white and black. Besides, for those who are cost-conscious and fashion-forward because of how its market tends to be hip, and for those social individuals who tend to be the demographics of the middle classes. And then, what is the target market? So people will be familiar with the 1-for-1 model first. And Tom so had his idea on helping children in poor or exploited area. And now this model had included shoes, eyewear, and coffee. And for every pair of shoes sold, Tom will donate 1 pair of shoes to the children in need. And in 2014, they had given away 10 million pairs of shoes. And for the coffee, they will provide a with worth of clean water for every bag of coffee sold. And also, for each eyewear sold, they will provide prescription glasses and medical treatment to the poor. And this kind of mission has targeted the customer who resonated with their idea of the donate model and approach, as well as the companies combined for profit procedure. And also it may have its target customer of people who want to bring changes or who are interested in taking backs on different types of worry and social causes. And even they have expanded internationally, the target market will not change. To give a short summary, with Tom's 1-for-1 model, there are people who care much about the society and seeking for products which related to a specific charitable causes, or seeking a product which have a soul for charity, like helping others in need or comfort to other human beings, etc. And when customer implies with the idea of 1-for-1 model and interested in giving or corporate social responsibility or contributing a bigger cause in general, as well as they have a strong social tie. Also, for the customer who are in the demographics of the middle classes and who are not price sensitive and prepared to pay something extra, or who are on trend, especially for the youngers, then it may become the target market for Toms. Then let's move to the second part of the question. How might the target market change in the future? First, let's have some brief background information. So like other brands, Toms also have its hero products. And with their hero product, people will remember how they help others in need, like their charity work for children. Then customers will be willing to buy their shoes, but also it had a backfire because of how they are willing on the one model too long, and also for how easy their shoe style be copied. Like the scratches, they have a product name box and they are even cheaper, and they will donate for 2 pairs of shoes to the people who are in need. Therefore, people try to have a question about if it is worth to give a much higher price for Toms with their business model. Also, because of the donation program, which is innovative and interesting, it had become a mainstream to copy by so many different brands. Therefore, people also start questioning if Tom donation is actually helping anyone. And perhaps because of the approach forwards, the entire initiative is still sustainable. The target market may not be changed soon, even though if customer is no longer feel associated with the noble causes, the branding or even the branding of product changes, and if a PR debate or self-instigated change in branding, it may cause a change in their target market. Besides, Tom has critics that may threaten their firm, and it focuses on the 3 main issues. First, it has argued of how they make people employ rely on goodwill, just like similar organizations, rather than creating opportunities for them to take care of themselves. Some may also believe that they are undercutting of sustainable change in impoverished country by not providing microfinancing. And if the target market believes that this is going to against their personal value, the target market will change. And the second issue is how they has manufacturing facilities in China, and as well where human rights violations have been documented. The target market may change because of how they made a double more to facilities where human rights violation has been documented, even though they have a group approach. And the third issue is how they are providing many free shoes to countries like Argentina and Ethiopia. And people may think that they are stimulating their local entrepreneurships and taking potential business away from their local business. Although it's an unlikely factor, it still also plays a role for how the target market may change. To give a short summary, if people no longer gaining from their sustainable model, people may less likely to pay the additional costs to their shoes. Since Tom's business model term have different criticism for and also for how they relate some people, and because of they have a lot of companies nowadays, this model may become this model may decrease its value because of the companies for having more brands that have the similar kinds of model, and also for how the crisis appear and different controversies or that may lead people lost trust for their work, and therefore if they lost trust and not willing to buy their products, Tom may cannot choose but change their target market. I do think that this kind of model may not change in a short period of time because people still will agree with their model and still they is the mainstream for this kind of model. But when people are not willing to buy their products again, maybe they will less focus on their social responsibility model. And I will pass the time to my next groupmate to answer the next question.
So now I would like to talk about the second question. What revenue streams does Tom's have that support how the firm competes, and how sustainable are these revenue streams? Next page, please. So I will introduce the revenue streams of Tom's with some examples to you. First is product sales, including shoes, eyewear, and coffee. And for shoes, they sell alpargatas, boots, sneakers, sandals, heels, and wedges, etc. Next page, please. And for eyewear, they sell sunglasses and eyeglasses with blue light lenses. And then coffee, they sell coffee in cafes and also in their flagship stores. In their flagship stores, customers can buy and drink coffee there, and they also can buy other Tom's products there like shoes and t-shirts, etc. And second is Tom's branded products, for example, t-shirts, hats, and beanies, bags, sweatshirts, and Tom's flags, etc. The third one is all sales trigger a commensurate gift to people in need. Next page, please. So next, I'm going to talk about how sustainable these revenue streams are. First, I would like to talk about the branding impact. As branded products like t-shirts and caps can provide market impact. That means increase the visibility of the company. This can help increase the customer base so that more people may know the company and may buy Tom's products. The power of branding is big. It drives sustainable revenue as long as the branding name remains good. Next page, please. Shoes, apparel, and accessories. These are fashion products. For different occasions, people will buy different types of these fashion products. For example, customers may buy a pair of sneakers for playing sports and then buy a pair of heels for a date. So customers might buy more than one product. Also, fashion products are seasonal, like t-shirts and caps for summer, fleece and beanies for winter. So people might buy new clothes every new season. That means people may not buy products from this company only once. They might buy several times. So this is a sustainable revenue stream. Next page, please. And the product coffee, as coffee are consumables, people can drink coffee every day for several times as they like. And so the customers may keep buying coffee from the company. So this is also a sustainable revenue stream. So now I would like to pass the time to my groupmates to continue.
I would like to talk about the third session, what key assets the Tom's possesses and how sustainable are those assets. Firstly, key assets is the assets that a firm owns that enable its business model to work. There are four main categories, including human assets, physical assets, financial assets, and intellectual assets. So what are the distinctive assets for a unique business model like Tom's to maintain operation? Next slide, please. Tom has a lot of human assets. The most important, of course, is the founder, Michael Keys, who established one-for-one model and attracted many people to support his concept and created a powerful team. Next slide, please. Tom's has two parts, Tom and Fans of Tom's. Tom's is the for-profit company and Fans of Tom's is the non-profit organization that assembles volunteers, delivers the shoes, coordinates the eyewear and site restoration, and create water initiatives. Tom also draw many interns in working in its facilities as employees. Next slide, please. In addition to internal employees, Tom's also partners with external non-profit organizations to allocate resources to those in need. The non-profit organizations knows the needs better than Tom does and can guide the company. For example, Tom partners with Safa Foundation to carry out eyewear and restore site program. It can help Tom to make the best use of money. Tom also has Campus Cup. Students who inspired by the Tom stories and are passionate to help others can join the Tom's Campus Cup to participate in Tom's. Next slide, please. Tom's has a healthy corporate culture. His story has attracted many partners and volunteers into their team. including community groups, students, and educators. Toms also organize events. One of the important events is the Day Without Shoes campaign. They try not to wear shoes for one day to raise public awareness of the importance of shoes. Next slide, please. The human essence of Toms can be sustainable because they have a common goal, which is to change the lives of others. They gather different people in the society to join Toms or cooperate with Toms, which became a huge cohesion. Toms has been relying on his accumulated word of mouth to attract many talents, and Tom's talents have been doing more publicity or promotes such as organized events. These activities can arouse more public attention to social issues. Activities can also attract more volunteers and talents to join Toms, as long as Toms continues his spirit and corporate culture. The concept of helping people can continue to attract more people to participate, continue to promote the one-for-one model, and its intention, its assets can be sustainable. So this is the end of the presentation. Thank you. This is the reference.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Okay, so there are 2 points I would like to raise before the critique group. First of all, a presentation group. I received your PowerPoint slide, of course, and you also need to submit a form called form, PCS, a presentation on case studies, with your contribution. So you should, send the form maybe by email or to me about the form, okay, presentation assessment form. This is point number 1. Point number 2, did you submit the presentation material to the critique group late, or provide a version only early this morning? Is that correct? Is that true?
We have updated our version in early morning.
Okay, so when was the first version first? And then this morning you submit the updated version. So what about the original one? Can you recall what time or when you submit?
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Okay, no problem. All right, because the critique will make the remark. All right, it's okay. And then I will further give further comment later on. Now, critique group. Yes, you can turn on a microphone and then also copy and paste the questions onto the chat room so that people, all other classmates can see your question, and then you can ask by turning on microphone. Once again, if the presentation group sent updated version to you, you might have a shorter period of time to prepare. I will take that into account for your critique performance. And also I will take into account you got only 2 members in your group about the workload, all right? Anyway, critique group, are you here? All right, yes. And also you can turn on microphone to ask, pop a question one by one, okay? And then turn on microphone to ask the present group. So present group can listen to what the critique questions and also read the chat room questions, okay?
Yeah, so my question is that many people may choose to directly donate to charities instead of buying shoes to help people. So, and some poor people also might need other stuff more than shoes, like food or money. So do you think that all of the consumers resonate with the idea of Tom's business model?
Okay, so present group, maybe you can think about that and see how you respond to that.
Maybe I will answer the question first.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that, actually, I don't think that all customer resonate with the idea. Yeah, sure, that's the customer who agree with the idea of the one-for-one model, but actually it have a survey they find that, yeah, they have 50, yeah, I have find a survey that they have let me 50 53 53.5%.
What do you mean, 50?
51, yeah, 51% were
Mm.
familiar with the company and their mission. And but they still have people didn't have any idea of how it was actually implemented. And also, as I mentioned, that, yeah, some people, because of how their shoes design, and like how their shoe designs, and because of their design and their willing, because of how their fashion, how they fashion modified it, fashion forward, so that they will buy their products. So that I don't think that actually all customer agree with the idea of the business model. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. To respond to the critique group, I suspect whether you have read the case carefully, all right? Because slide number 16. So all the critique group for this one, for the upcoming one, basically you should read the case first, and then also read the preparation of the answer and see whether they are correct or wrong, and whether they are sufficient or not. Okay, actually, because your question asks about some poor people may need food or more than shoes, do you think the consumer will agree with the one-for-one model? True. Actually, on the bottom right-hand corner, they do mention they have different products. All right. So if people buy shoes, and then this is the very basic one, they will donate a pair of shoes. That's why they call it one-for-one model. However, if they have a product called coffee, and then of course they won't. You buy a cup of coffee, donate 1 cup of coffee to them, because coffee to the poor people might be luxury, and then they may not even have clean water to drink. And that's why rather than giving shoes, rather than giving coffee, when you buy coffee, they will donate some clean water. Okay, so last week we talked about people in India, they might not have electricity, and then they might not have clean water, and the same situation happened. And Tom's also got eyewear. Of course, if you buy sunglasses from Tom's, they won't donate one pair of sunglasses because this is also luxury item, okay, 太陽眼鏡, things like that. And that's why they will donate money so that they can have some sort of sponsorship for the medical care. It means that actually they do donate something like food, but just clean water, something like money, but sponsoring them for the eyesight or something. Okay, so that is mentioned in the case and also from the PowerPoint slide number 16. Okay, all right, yes, move on with your critique questions. Okay, go ahead and turn on the microphone and ask.
What are the physical and financial assets that Tom's has to enable its business to work? Because you only mentioned the human and intellectual assets, I think.
Okay, and present group, try to see how you tackle that.
Yes, and
Okay, go ahead.
I think the distribution networks also is the physical assets of Tom's.
The physical distribution, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, and then, yes, move on. How you respond to the question?
And the teams of Tom's, like the Tom's volunteers and their non-profit organizations also is everyone, interns, and including the campus clubs also helping the distribute works into customers and the people in need.
All right. Okay. Maybe I will do some debriefing. Have you finished answering the questions
Mm,
before I do my remark?
and also, I think the financial assets is the products of Tom's, like shoes, his and iOS coffee. It also is the financial that can bring money to the companies to maintain their works and the business model. So this is my answer.
Okay. All right. Let me. Okay. Critique group. Any more questions from your group? Oh, that's it. All right. One more. Can the business model of Tom's work in other industry?
Maybe I will answer this question.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do think that Tom's business, that one-for-one model, can work in other industry. Yeah, like just like some social enterprise that provide, yeah, that have some restaurant that, yeah, like the food industry, they can provide. Maybe that like some restaurant they provide some free food, and one like in Hong Kong, yeah, one buy a meal and they will give another meal to the poor, just like stuff. And also, yeah, this work model, this business model can really, yeah, also can be found in, yeah, because of how successful for this model. And I do think that this model, and just like I mentioned before, can easily be found. Actually, I have find some example that some other industry is actually doing the same kind of business model. So yeah, it probably can work in other industry, but maybe so a little bit difference, just like given the one product away, yeah, instead of
Okay. So you said you have done a little bit research on whether other industry, okay, industry, depending on how you interpret, I have done something like that, right?
Something like, yeah, because I have heard, yes, I actually have heard about some food industry that they when people buy a meal, then they will have like a coupon that
Yes.
give another one who are in need, and some people will buy the restaurant, go to restaurant, order a meal, but that meal is not for them, it's for another one in need. So that this kind of business model actually in other industry can be found also.
Yes, this is true. Even though a direct example, during the social movement in the second half of 2019, yes, some people, so-called yellow ribbon people, they have done something like that to help the young children, the youngster, all right? And of course, talking about food industry, somebody who are doing charity, for example, in Sam Sui Po or Ming Ko, okay, Ming Ko, and then he might have done something like this before. And also talking about Hong Kong, back 2-3 years ago, there's one exercise or one promotion campaign by PARKnSHOP. And if you buy something from PARKnSHOP, they will donate similar thing to Food Angel Sik Sik Tong. All right. So these are the localized example in Hong Kong. And of course, this week we have presentation about Tom's, who has a 1-for-1 model. And let me just let everybody know, especially people presenting next week, the presentation topic for next week, they are talking about eyewear, okay, a company called Warby Parker. And then they are also doing, buy one, give one, buy one, give one, similar to 1-for-1 model. Okay, so we will hear that, yes, there are some other so-called industry or other business, they will do the same. Okay. All right. Any more questions from Critic Group? That's it? Based on the form, yes, you got all these 3 questions. Okay. And all right. Now let me do a little bit debriefing. First of all, yes, presentation group, you could send the update or the finalized version 40 hours in advance, but I know that you try to get improvement. You send the so-called final version only this morning, and then that's why understandable. So if the critique group haven't got sufficient time, understandable, and also you got only 2 persons, this is what I mentioned just now. Even though having mentioned that, for upcoming critique group, your main duty is to challenge whether the presentation group has answered the question correctly, and if correct, whether they are answering the question sufficiently, okay, doing the right way, doing the right thing in the right way, whether they are sufficient, okay. And also critique group should read the case also, all right. Why I say that? Because as far as the presentation group is concerned, can you go to slide number 3 questions? Let me see. You got yes, slide number 12. Okay. Yes, what we have said here, there are 3 questions. For the first question, hold on, let me try to erase that first. Okay, for the first question, the keyword, of course, is talking about target market. Second question, talking about revenue stream. And third question is talking about key asset. Okay, and each question divided in 2 parts. What are target market? What are revenue stream? What are key asset? Actually, for each question, part A and part B, all the answer in part A have been given. For those who haven't read the case, the audience here, the classmate here, actually for part A, everything have been stayed clear in the case already. You just try to categorize them. What do I mean by categorize them? So in the case, they do mention 7 items about key asset. And of course, just now I have written down here, the key asset can be categorized into PHIF, P-H-I-F, which is physical, human, intellectual, and also the financial. And that's why in the second question, they ask, okay, you have mentioned something about the intellectual one, the human one. What about physical and financial? Something like this. This is a question, all right? And then instead of asking that, you should say, okay, there are 7 items. Something may be missing here from the case you have mentioned, all right? And then, of course, actually for the financial one, which is here, because you learn about SORF, the servo component, solve, if you can recall from my last lecture, all right? So core strategies related to this one, and then resources related to this one, and F related to this one. And because we got only 3 questions, so operation has been, excluded from the presentation, because we got 3 questions, we got 4 components, something like this. All right, so present group, let's go back to you. For the overall presentation, yes, PowerPoint wise, they are very nice, okay, with a very clear, background, and also you make things very systematic, which is very good. And you also use animation. That is a very good practices. And also, as far as this PowerPoint slide is concerned, yes, all upcoming group, you can follow this pattern. You show all 3 questions at the same time, so that people know that, oh, in the next 20 minutes, I will be listening to presentation to handle these 3 questions. And after this, next PowerPoint slide. So after all the 3 questions in one single page, and then, okay, so we finished showing you the 3 questions. This is question 1, and then they got part A and part B, and they answered that with appropriate picture, etc., etc. All right, so PowerPoint wise, they are very nice. They follow my instruction with PowerPoint slide number, with who is the presentation one. So PowerPoint wise, they are good. And then presentation wise, yes, everybody has, prepared, even though I suspect that you may feel a little bit nervous, scared, and then try to take up the bravery, try to be brave to present your content, okay? All right, the third part is about the content, all right? So I go to the answer for part 1, slide number 14. Yes, basically what you said are correct. You may have done some additional research on their website talking about, yes, their product focus on people who are 13 to 35 years old. However, as I said, the part 1 answer, who are the target market, has been given. So right at the beginning, you do mention that at the later part in slide number 16. So you should say the target market are people who resonate, who agree with their concept of 1-for-1 model. It means that I buy your product because I want to do charity. So it should come first because this is the answer given by the case, okay? And then, of course, additional research, all these are good, all right? So actually, what I have seen in question 1, you have spent already 25 minutes in question 1. Suppose the total presentation time is 25 minutes because question 1, you give all the good details, okay, and in a very detailed way. That is good, okay, even though actually you overrun, but we have 3 hours class time, so that things can be flexible. So question 1, no problem, and you also do it in a systematic way with animation. And then let's come to question 2. Question 2, maybe show the question first, which is in slide number 28. Okay, so for question 2, as I mentioned just now, actually part 1 The answer has been given by the case. What are the revenue stream? From the case, there are 4 items, which is item number 1, next PowerPoint slide, which is the product sales, true. Item 2, the 4 items mentioned by the case, which is in slide number 31. Branded product. And then item 4, this is item 2. Item 4, every sales, all sales go for a consumer gift. It means that 1-for-1 model. Actually, it seems that if I didn't miss anything, the third item mentioned in the case about some home and bath, okay, the marketplace, about the tap product, it has been missing. Okay, so this is about part 1. And talk about part 2, how sustainable is this revenue stream? And then, yes, you talk about the brand product, all these, and once again, something missing, okay? You just talk about, yes, the fashion product, etc. So you should base on the 4 items to talk about, or the 3 items, brand product, product sales, and also the marketplace item, which is home and bath, to see whether all the product nature, they are sustainable or not. So this is a question 2, seems that a little bit something missing. Okay, and also for question 3, go to slide number 36 first. Okay, so the key asset is good. You mentioned about the theory. Just now we mentioned, as far as the lecture notes is concerned, yes, we have PHIF. And then this is the theory, okay? And for the case, they have mentioned 7 key assets, 7 items. And then you have also tried to categorize them, some human assets, like the founder, etc. Some they talk about their concept, right? The concept is intellectual. And that's why the critique group asks you, what about the other 2? Really depending on whether the answer has been provided. Okay, so that's why critique group and present group, somehow if you make the things clear, will be a little bit better. Okay, so content-wise, question 1 is very good. Question 2 and 3 can improve a little bit. Okay, so that's all for my comment. And then I hope, even though we don't have exam, but I hope in future, if you're handling other subject examination, you need to understand the structure of the question so that you can answer the question in a proper way, in a sufficient way, doing the right thing in the right way. Okay, anyway, thank you for the presentation, and thank you for the critique group to raise the question. Okay, so yes, you can take away the share screen now. All right, let me show you here. Okay, so we KO item 1, taking attendance, item 2, and also the critique, and also J2 comment have been given. All right, okay. So, of course, in the remaining 1 hour and 30 minutes, it will be a boring time. I will give you a short break so that I can also make use of the break to get my file ready. And I said that, yes, the content may be a little bit boring, but that's why I alert you, even though it may be boring, but try your best, stay calm. All right, don't feel frustrated and be patient, because the chapter 3, feasibility analysis, and in particular also chapter 5, we're talking about industry analysis and competitor. They are some important concept that you should use it for your individual written report, which is the business plan, account for 40%. And that's why, yes, in the upcoming one, you try to mark down some key concept that you may need to make use of that in your written report. Okay, so according to my watch, the time now is 4:12, and then 5 minutes break, come back 5 minutes later at 4:17. Okay, so break time now. And then I will try to get ready my lecture notes during the break. Okay. Okay, while I'm trying to retrieving the file, and then for those who come in a little bit late, in case you haven't got a chance to check attendance for the first 2 hours, here is the QR code, and the password is 456789. Okay, thank you, Jasper. Yes, good. Others have done the attendance checking at the beginning. So some people, just log on after I show the QR code. That's why I showed it again. Okay, let's get back to the lecture. As I mentioned, you may feel boring talking about the lecture content. Yes, I confess that it may be true. And that's why for the remaining 1.5 hours, I will give you a break later on at about 5 something so that you can take a break and also take the attendance for the second half of the class, the third hour, okay? And now I'm going for chapter 5. Which is talking about industry and competitor analysis. And as I mentioned, there are in particular 2 important concepts I will show you in 1 minute's time. And also, as my J2 style, okay, I will go for a pre-lecture briefing first, so that you know, oh, this is what you're going to listen. All right, so let's start my lecture for chapter 5, and get ready chapter 5 with the title talking about the industry and competitor analysis. Okay, so here is the summary notes which I already uploaded at the beginning of semester. Let's take a look. For chapter 5, you can see at the top part here. Yes, in case you cannot see the PDF, let me know. All right, I presume that you are seeing a PDF file, which is a summary note. Okay, yes, this is the structure of chapter 5. Chapter 5, industry and competitive analysis. And 80% of the lecture notes for the left-hand side one, which is industry analysis. And then the 20% will go to the right-hand side, competitor. So we are talking about two analysis. The first one is industry analysis. The second one is competitor analysis. And then especially those non-business students, don't worry, but just alert you. Yes, there are three concepts here, I should say, because one of the concepts we have covered that already in the previous chapter, chapter 2. And later on, you will hear something about PESTLE, P-E-S-T-L-E, which we have already covered. And other important concept, which is called BERNS, B-E-R-N-S, and also DIF, D-I-F. And what do they stand for? The summary note have made clear to you. And then I will go into lecture talking about all these details about PESTLE, talking about BERNS, talking about DIF, and also two terms, the trend, which is in chapter 2, observing trend, PESTLE with environmental trend and also a business trend. Okay, so this is what you will be hearing in the next 1 hour. Okay, so let's start the lecture with chapter 5 lecture notes. Here comes the lecture notes. Okay, chapter 5. Okay, let's start. Hold on. Yes. Okay. And as far as chapter 5 is concerned here, as I said, the two major topics. One is industry analysis, occupy about 80% of the PowerPoint slide. And then the second one is competitive analysis, about 20%. AER. The mouse is crazy. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so for the structure, of course, item 1, we will go for something like a definition first. Okay, have a basic understanding about definition, talking about industry analysis. And then we mentioned that there are 5 competitive force. Maybe I use a different color will be better. Hold on. Okay, so we will cover B, E, R, N, S. And then this is the important concept. And also in item 3 here, we are also talking about, yes, why they are so important, the value of that here, the value. Why we need to learn that, because the 5 forces model, the BERNS, will be useful in conducting industry analysis. And a small topic called 5 types of industry, which you might not need to include, but this is in the lecture notes, might not need to include in your business plan. Let me get my pointer first. So the 5 types of industry here. Hold on here. All right. Later on, you will see that we are not talking about ABC, but D, E, F, G, M. ABC, no. D, E, F, G, M. The 5 types. Start with D, E, F, G, M, 5 alphabet. And also at the last part here, we are talking about different types of competitor. I call it DIF, direct competitor, indirect competitor, future competitor. So this concept together with Burns will be important for your business plan. Your written report account for 40%. Okay, so this is the beginning. Once again, let's start with the definition. All right. So as we mentioned in the previous week, whenever we do conduct analysis, product feasibility analysis, and then target market analysis, whatever, we need to do research to find out. And because we want to analyze an in-depth analysis to find out more details about the goods and bads, okay, the pros and cons, advantage and disadvantage about a particular industry. That's why, yes, industry analysis, the main concern is to focus on in-depth analysis on, how come my pointer always disappear? In-depth analysis to find out in a particular industry, what are the pros and cons, what are the advantage and disadvantage that you plan to enter. And then we plan to enter, what does it mean? Yes, let's go to this PowerPoint slide first, and then we need to know, yeah, all right, in chapter 3, we have covered feasibility analysis. Okay, so with feasibility analysis, we learn about 4 areas, which 5 alphabet. Start with P, end with F. Can anybody recall the 5 alphabet we learned in chapter 3? Yes, thank you, Jasper. All right, lovely boy. All right, Pitof, P-I-T-O-F. Let me just show you. We learn about Pitof. Each and every time the mouse is crazy, I still can here. I cannot locate my mouse. Pitof, and P stands for product analysis, of course, and then actually industry, target market, organization, finance, and now we are going back to industry analysis. And then after you have conduct a feasibility analysis, 可行性報告, talking about my product is good. So the next step is, if your product idea is good, but what about the whole industry? Product is just a small component, okay? And then hold on, here, product is a small item here, product, and which is part of the organization. An organization is surrounded by the whole industry. So after product is okay, and then what about the industry? Because we also analyze the organization at the top part here, we also analyze the organization. Okay, so after the product is okay, you may try to find out, page down. There are 3 questions you ask yourself before you really move on to go a step further. Number 1, even if my product is okay, what about the industry? Is the industry good? Industry good means that whether, number 1, they are accessible. Later on, you will hear something like a barrier, 一個壁壘，一個障礙, some obstacle. Whether it is accessible or whether there are barriers, some blockage. For example, if you want to go to telecommunication industry and then you need a license, if the government didn't give you a license, you cannot go in. So you will hear something about the barrier later on. about, yes, whether it is accessible or not. Even though there might not be a lot of barrier, it means that, okay, the industry is accessible. 就算係可以進入 but if it is accessible, but is it worthwhile for me to go in? And then whether it is underserved, or in other words, if there are a lot of competitors already saturated, 好飽和嘅, and then no point to go in because so many operators in the industry, and then you might not be able to beat them down. And then even though it is accessible, but whether they are already full, if not full, still underserved, good. Yes, I still have room to go inside. Okay, good. But the first question is, if there is no barrier, I can go in. And also there are not many competitors, I can go in, good. For some reason, it is not full because there might be some negative image. People think the industry is no good. Under that situation, you still need to reconsider whether it is worthwhile for you to go in. That's why you need to conduct industry analysis to find out, is it accessible? Is it underserved? Not yet saturated? Not yet full? And even though in the first question is yes, accessible, yes, not full, but should I still go in if there are a lot of negative image, negative attribute, something like this? Okay, so you need to ask yourself these 3 questions. And then here comes the 3 different levels when you try to analyze the industry. And then everything in one go, which we have a firm level. I will show you a little bit more detail. And then next one is industry level. Okay, so what I want to say here is, just now I've drawn a diagram. You will see a better picture later on. Product is only a very small element. The product is inside your organization. And the organization is surrounded by many different operators similar to you in the whole industry. And the industry is surrounded by the whole community. So I hope you understand what I mean with the so-called the scale. The whole community inside there are many industry. In a particular industry, there may be many operator, and then for one single operator, and then of course you have your product. Just one example, especially for non-business student. All right, if we are talking about Hong Kong, Hong Kong is the largest one, the outer circle, and in Hong Kong, of course, the second one, there are a lot of industry. Tourism industry, catering industry, retail industry, okay, 旅遊業、飲食業、時裝業, and of course, one of the industry is 教育界, education industry. And education industry, with so many operators, we have UOW College Hong Kong or CCCU, we have PolyU, we have Ling U, we have U, Hong Kong U, many university. And last time when I talk about chapter 3, in CityU, among different organization here are university, if I use the example of education industry. And then inside CityU, they want to introduce the vet school, the family clinic. And this is only one of the program. Of course, in CityU, they have econ, finance, Japanese studies, account, etc. Right? So this is how we do it. And now when we talk about firm level, if we use the example of what I have done just now, firm level mean you analyze UOW, College Hong Kong, CityU, Hong Kong U. This is a firm level. And here, industry level, we are talking about 教育界, education industry. So this is how it differs. And then now let me show you a better picture in doing that. Okay, so just now we got several circle. In the very internal one, let me try to use a different color. Hold on. Give me a few seconds. Something wrong. Let me do it again. Okay, here comes the animation. Yes. All right. Product, which is what I mentioned just now, a degree, okay, in vet school. And then we're talking about industry. This is product, industry, and also the whole society, something like this. And what I want to show you here is that this I will upload, or I have uploaded, I'm not quite sure, I forgot, the overall concept. Anybody can help me? FBI, what is mean by FBI? To see whether this is week 6 already, and week 1, week 5, can anybody recall FBI? Just mention one of the terms here. Anybody can help me? Which we have covered in chapter 1. Yes, thank you, which is good. Thank you, Lord Yi. Boss, finance, and pursue idea. And then also in chapter 1, we are talking about PICT, which is passion for the business, execution intelligence, customer focus and tenacity despite failure, blah, 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 blah. And then this is from chapter 2. And also we learned something from chapter 2, talking about recognizing opportunity and generating idea. And since we have so many ideas, we want to do feasibility analysis to screen out. So far we are moving in this concept map progressively, step by step, stage by stage. And also we learn something in chapter 2 here, and then chapter 3 here, and also chapter 4. This is what the presentation they did just now, a business model, one-for-one model. You have different operating mechanism. That is the business model. And after all this, now we will cover competitor, chapter 5 here, and also industry here, chapter 5 here. And after we finish all these, and chapter 6 is to show you how to write a business plan. So these are the major part. I will try to slow down to make sure you can complete a business plan with 40% of total assessment. And later on, after that, we might go over these or skip some of them, because I know you think the lecture notes are too much. Also, we don't have exam, etc. So this is the overall structure. Okay, so let's move on, talking about chapter 5, which is industry analysis, which is competitive analysis. All right. Hold on. Listen. Okay, let me try to do it again. Stop sharing. Okay, hold on. Show it again. Shit. Let me get the file first. Okay, so let's start talking about the industry analysis. And here come the file again. Share screen, and oops, what's wrong? Hold on. Share. It doesn't work. Give me a few seconds because I cannot locate my file here. Yes, back again. All right, and let's go to the PowerPoint slide. Okay, some concept that you should have known, or something that which is very business oriented. I think I talked about that before. Something called SWOT analysis, which we are covering that, but we may not use all this term, but we are talking about the SWOT analysis here. Try to analyze the industry and also the PESTEL one. And you will hear the PESTEL one. The PESTEL one is for political environmental, which we cover in chapter 2. And then we will cover the Michael Porter, which is similar to competitor, supplier, customer, something like this. And also in the next few PowerPoint slide, we will mention the left-hand side, the right-hand side one, the PESTEL, in a very quick way, because we have covered that earlier. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so from the summary note, you can see that, yes, we are going to cover something like industry analysis with environmental trend and also business trend. So for the business industry trend, the industry analysis, the first one is environmental. Environmental, if you can recall, is PESTLE. In case you forgot, go back to chapter 2. And after you read chapter 2, you don't understand, J2 is here to help you. P, political. E, economic. S, social or social cultural. T, technological. L, legal. Legal, okay, L. And E, environmental. All right. And on top of this, which we cover, you also have another term called business trend. And as far as business trend is concerned, basically, I can say that it is the same as environmental trend. So the definition here is business trend are something that the environmental trend perceiving itself. Okay, and hey, J2, I still don't know what you are talking about. What is, the difference between environmental trend and business trend? Let me repeat once again. Theoretically speaking, they are quite the same, all right? But the only difference is for business trend, it will only affect 1-2 particular industry. It affects means positively or negatively. Okay, example, if we have the PESTEL, if we have a poor economy, a poor economy, and then with a poor economy, it may affect catering, 飲食業有問題, retail industry 有問題, all right? And just now, for example, COVID-19, and then all the retail going to terminate people. Because of COVID-19, we have restaurant ban, even though it released, open until 10, but previously they should close at 6. So the catering industry, the retail industry, the tourism industry are all affected. And under that situation, tourism, okay, under that situation, this is environmental trend. However, let me use another extreme example, the Hong Kong, Macau, Zhuhai Bridge, Gongju Dai Qiu, all right? So with that kind of infrastructure, Hong Kong, Macau, Zhuhai Bridge, and then with the introductions, it will affect, in particular, logistic industry. It will be better because they have more choices. When you want to deliver something to Macau, sometimes you might just, go by ship, by sea, even though you can go to Zhuhai and then cross border, but it will be very indirect. If I want to directly go to Macau, before that, I can only go by sea transport for the logistic. But with the Macau, Hong Kong Zhuhai Bridge, you can go there fast and by sea, by land. And that will be the business trend for logistic industry. But I can say that logistic industry will be positively affected, okay, or have a positive impact for logistic industry. But I presume that it doesn't have anything to do education. All right, we are UW College Hong Kong，港珠澳大橋新成立開始通車之後，我哋冇影響嘅某程度上。So it doesn't really affect education industry, okay, or retail industry, no direct impact. But for logistics, they are good news to them. Other industry doesn't share the advantage, just like education doesn't really affect. In that case, that will be the business trend for logistics. Okay, I hope you can differentiate environmental trend, PESTLE, even though some item they belong to one of this category, but if they are not affecting many different industry, catering, retail, tourism, a lot of things, and then they are business trend. Okay, so I hope you got a basic understanding. If not, you can ask me during the break or type in the chat room so that I can explain a little bit more. Okay, and after finish talking about the business trend and environmental trend, now we go straight into Burns. Okay, the 5 competitive force. I call it Burns. B, E, R, N, S. So what do they stand for? You got the summary note, even though you haven't printed out, but you can download from the Moodle website. So BRN stand for B, buyer. B. E stand for existing competition. R stand for a little bit different here. Here, substitute, replacement. Replacement is R. Okay, so repeat. B, buyer. E, existing firm, existing competition. R stand for replacement, and then N stand for new competition. Hold on, where's my pointer? New competition, and then S stand for supplier. So this is the 5 one, and then in the upcoming PowerPoint slide, you will see more details later on. So we have Burns. Okay, here a better picture to show you what are Burns. Burns are B, and then E, and then R, replacement, substitute. N, new entrance, and then S, supplier. In total, these are the 5 forces model, B, R, and S. Okay. All right. And then somehow this is just another way to show you the differences, which some other scholar they are talking about competitor, they are talking about customer, and then which is quite the same. So you can ignore this one if you are not familiar. Don't worry. All right. Okay. So why they are so important? Why we need to do an industry analysis talking about Burns? Simply because as far as Burns are concerned, they are the 5 elements which will affect your company's profitability. Here, the profitability. Somebody hope can teach me how come each and every time my mouse could not appear clearly. Where is my mouse? But the pointer. Okay, the Burns will affect Apologize. All right. The burns will affect the company's profitability, and that's why each company you need to handle well. The most ideal situation is you can get rid of the problem created by burns. If you cannot get rid of that, to avoid that, at least you try to diminishes, 減少, okay, 縮細, reduce their impact. Okay, so the ideal one is to get rid of that. Even though you cannot get rid of that, the original impact will be large. So you try to diminish, to make it smaller, or even avoid that. Okay, and then now we will be talking about each of the item point by point. After the burns, or later on, I'll give you a short break. Okay, so B, E, R, and S. We go for the first one, substitute, replacement. And normally the first sentence in each heading, we are now the first one talking about substitute, replacement. This is the opening remark about the overall concept. So the overall concept is that if the consumer doesn't have a lot of substitute is low or even no, NO, they cannot find any replacement, and then it is good. The industry will be attractive. You should go in. On the other hand, if people got a lot of replacement substitute, and then you need to consider, okay, the industry is not attractive because people have a lot of choices. And if they have low choice, without too much choice, with a low substitute, good, we should go in. Okay, so let's see what are the impact. Because the consumer, if they have lots of choices, availability, if they have lots of choices, and then they will not be willing to pay a lot of money to you, because if they think, hey, your product is so expensive, forget about it. I got so many choices. I might go for others. All right, and then this is no good. Just now, as I said, on the other hand, if people think that, okay, sorry, I have no choice, I need to go for your product, and that you can charge a high price. And that's why you need to analyze whether you should go in or not. Okay, it means that when there are close substitute, I really sick of my mouse. I cannot find it. When there are close substitute, the consumer can ask you for discount. The profitability will be suppressed. You cannot earn too much money. So you need to analyze, should I go in? Okay, so this is about the substitute, replacement. Second one, we are talking about here. Okay, B, E, hold on, R, and S. So we finished talking about R. Now here comes the new entrance. The concept of new entrance related to barrier. And then in case you are not familiar with barrier, I will go over the items to show you. If there are something that build up a tall wall to prevent people from joining it may be good. So as an opening remark, if the threat of new entrance is low, all right? So hold on. So that's why I'm always delayed, because I cannot locate my mouse. It means that new joiner cannot join in. They have a low possibility of joining in, and that it will be good to you. On the other hand, in another interpretation, wow, if it is high, it means that A company, B company, C company, 路人甲, 陳大文, everybody can join. It's no good to you. However, if the new entrance possibility is low, and then it will be good to you. You don't have too many competitors. Okay, so under that situation, it means that whenever the profit or the industry really have a high profit margin, and it will be a magnet. A magnet is a 磁石, okay, to attract people from joining in. Just one little example, it might not be quite true, but recently, talking about the trend, a lot of people would like to eat the Taiwanese the traditional cake, 台灣古早味蛋糕. And of course, the cost of producing the cake can be very low, can be a small cost, but they can sell it for $60, $70, $80. They may cost us $10 only, all right? Because this is the trend, people like eating that. It means that there are the traditional Taiwanese cake is very profitable, and that's why you can see suddenly so many new entrants pop up. 麥蛋糕, 陳蛋糕, 李蛋糕. A lot of people say 古早蛋糕, 古早蛋糕, okay? And then a lot of people would join in. It is a magnet to them, okay? Something like this. I'm not sure whether you are one of the people who love eating those kind of cake. So under that situation, and then the industry is no good because so many people joining in. And that's why we have a concept called barriers to entries. So if we have a high barrier, which is called 進入壁壘, and not allowing people, barrier is an obstacle which prevent from people from joining in, all right? So in some junior year courses in associate degree, I also teach associate degree, some other subject called management, all right? So the barriers of entrance, somebody learn it, in faculty of business, in associate degree, they learn 3. And that's why I just try to copy and paste to show you, but in our lecture notes, we have something more, all right? Okay, so what we said here is there are 3 items. Hold on. Here. First one is called economies of scale. Second one is called brand royalty. The third one is called government regulation. I will show you next PowerPoint slide. Okay. Just pay attention here. Economies of scale, brand royalty, and government regulation. And in your lecture notes, we also have economies of scale. We also have a brand royalty, which this one, together with government regulation. All right, so this one is just supplementary for people in associate degree. They learn about the 3 items, but we are now in a bachelor degree, and that's why something more. We have a total of 6 items. Okay, so let me explain one by one in case you are not familiar with some of the concept. Okay, for the first one, we are talking about 規模經濟, which is point A, the first point here. Economies of scale, 規模經濟效益. So what does it mean? It means that if some company, they are quite well established, and then they already set up a very huge operation, mass production, huge operation, and then they can enjoy a lower average cost. My typical example is that if you are operating a small grocery store, and then a small convenience store in your housing estate. Okay, not talking about 7-Eleven, but you are 陳大文 convenience store, 陳大文便利店, and then you may call Coca-Cola and say, Coca-Cola, can I order 20 pack of Coca-Cola，OK， 要20盤可樂，24罐一盤嘅 something and then Coca-Cola may say, okay, you want to order 20 pack, I will charge you $5 per can, all right? And I will deliver the 20 pack to you next week. Something like this, extreme example, all right? And then after this, Park and Shop, call Coca-Cola, saying that Coca-Cola, I want 20,000 pack of Coca-Cola. And of course, Coca-Cola said, oh, yes, I will charge you $2 per pack per can. And then I will deliver this afternoon, okay? Because the economies of scale, I have a large operation. The supplier is happy to provide good services, not wait until next week. And then they can also give you a high discount, $2 per can, rather than $5 per can. So this is about economies of scale. You can enjoy a lower cost, which is here, okay? Economies of scale, something like this, all right? So this is the first explanation for economies of scale explanation. And then second one, third one, fourth one, they are, you know, quite straightforward. No need to really go into much detail. Second one, we are talking about the, let me locate my mouse. I need to do some setting because my mouse always disappear here. Okay, here. Product differentiation, which is something related to brand loyalty. All right. Sometimes when some company loyalty, not royal, loyalty, okay. All right. For some companies, they have already established a very good brand name, and then you might always go for that. So the newcomer with a known brand name, they won't care to buy your product because well-established company, they have already built up a very good brand name, which people can differentiate. Yes, I must go for their product. Okay, something like this. For example, you might think that, Cola, and then everybody drink Coca-Cola. They think that it's different from Pepsi Cola because you build a very good brand image. And then even though they both are cola, but people can differentiate. Yes, Coca-Cola is always better than Pepsi Cola, something like this. So this is point B. And point C, capital requirement. If I am operating a noodle shop, easy to operate, and then I can just, you know, buy some sort of basic equipment, a small cart, 一個車仔, and then with many different compartments to put down the fish ball, to put down, you know, all kinds of 魚蛋豬皮, the pig skin, etc. Easy to start. However, if we are talking about I'm operating a Chinese restaurant, and then, wow, you may need a huge amount of money. For noodle shop, you may need small money. But when you operate a restaurant, you might need a large amount of money because you need a large floor shop. All right, the premises must be large so that you can have hundreds of tables for the wedding banquet. 筵開8席，你個場要好大。And you also need a lot of money to renovate, okay, to make it luxury, so that when you get married, you want to have a very grand hall for your wedding party, for your wedding banquet. It means that you need a huge amount of money. So that is capital requirement. Okay. Now, point D, people feel confused about the concept. Let me try to slow down in point D. Hold on. Okay, as far as point D is concerned, later on, the PowerPoint slide have explanation, but it will be good that I try to explain a little bit more to you, and after that, I'll give you a break. So, talking about point D, cost advantage, which related to money, regardless of size, independence of size, all right? Okay, you can imagine if my father operate a noodle shop or selling snack, selling fishball, selling those pepper with the fried pepper, etc. 煎釀三寶 ，OK 4粒魚蛋 ，OK this is 魚蛋 ，OK fishball. And then if my father operated 30, 40 years ago, and we have already purchased a shop in Mongkok, okay, even though area can be small, we already pay off the shop, we own the shop. Even though on a particular day we sell nothing, all right, no problem to me because I don't need to bear the cost of the rents. However, if a new operator, and then they want to have a shop in 西洋菜街、女人街, the Lady Street, even though the shop is small, but they might already need to pay $150,000 rent. 可能一個20-30尺鋪位係15萬租。It's crazy, okay, because Hong Kong, the land problem, the shops are not talking about COVID-19. Okay, normally, in a normal economy, the shop may charge, the owner may charge you $150,000 for the rent. And then you can imagine if they are new operator, they paid the rent for $150,000. You can imagine for a school of fishball, they may sell it for $10. And after deducting the cost, their profit may be $5 each. Okay, 順利係賺not 順利the profit deducting cost of goods sold may be $5. They earn $5 for every $10 they sell. But you can imagine that each day they need to sell, let me see, should I say, the daily rental charges, okay, 150,000 per month, 每日5000蚊租, and then they need to sell 1000魚蛋 ，okay, so 1000串魚蛋佢先歸到本。I hope you understand what I mean, because they pay a very expensive rental charge, average about the rental only 5,000 per day. So you can imagine if they earn $5 after deducting cost of goods sold, they earn $5. They need to sell 100 units of fishball in order to, break even to cover the rent. So it means that if I own the shop, I sell nothing, I don't care, I don't mind because, it costs me nothing in terms of rent. But for the newcomer, this is really a high barrier to them because each and every time they need to sell a huge amount of things in order to make it break even. So it can be a barrier to them. So I hope you got a basic understanding about the concept. And of course, item E, we are talking about the distribution channel. It means that if I got a lot of branches all over Hong Kong, just like Manning, Watsons, which is, people can have access, buy things easily, but you are only a small operator. You are operating in your housing estate. You don't have a good distribution network. It will be a barrier to you as well. And also, as I said, the last one is about government regulation. In case you need to have a license, a permit from government, which not everybody can easily do that. So it will be the problem about the barrier about the new entrants. Okay, so what I have said just now, here are more explanation. If you didn't understand what Jato said, you can take a look. And after taking a look at these 2 PowerPoint slides, if you still don't understand, make an appointment, and then I can explain in more detail to you. Okay, this is what I explained just now. Economies of scale, which is talking about a large operation. All right, and then large scale so that you can enjoy a lower cost. Product differentiation, like soft drink, as what I said just now. You drink Coca-Cola, but you don't drink Pepsi-Cola. Capital requirement, you need a huge amount of money for the restaurant to rent the premises, also pay for the renovation, 千萬元裝修, not 1萬元裝修. And also, if you have already got the land, to purchase the land, just now what I've mentioned here, and then you don't care whether you sell nothing or not, because you don't need to bear the cost. But for the people who pay a high rent, they need to sell a lot of things in order to make it break even. And also you have a via network, which is good, and also government regulations. All right. Oh, okay. Now, before we, maybe I will just spend a few more minutes first. Okay. I know you feel boring, but let me finish that. Okay, so under that situation, you may say, okay, Jato, after listening to this part of lecture, as a new startup, this is the end of the world. I am only 21 years old, and then I have some saving, talking about $100,000, but not 1 million, not 1 billion. I don't have economies of scale, and I am a new startup. I haven't built up my image yet. I have $100,000, but not $100 million. And then also, I need to rent a shop to go for my business. And I don't have a distribution channel because I am the only one shop, a small operator, even though nothing to do with government regulation. Okay, so with all these traditional barriers, and then this is already a dead end for new startup. We have no room to survive. 根本冇生存空間. Okay, don't worry. These are the traditional one. Yes, you may not be able to fight with that, but as a new startup, as an entrepreneur, if you have recall, recall, risk-taking, resources, innovative idea, creativities, and then you catch opportunity, and then as a startup, and then you can go for some non-traditional one. How can you stand out from the crowd? Without all this, 我作為一個 startup, 我點可以突圍而出? How can I win? Okay, no problem. You can go for some non-traditional one, even though you cannot beat with people about the traditional one. So what are the non-traditional barriers of entries? Okay, so let's take a look at the example that how can you, as a startup, as a small potato, how can you beat down? And people presenting next week, Edwin's group, later on in the consultation, this is some concept that you may be able to use, all right? So I cannot fight with them for the traditional one. I have bright idea. Let me go for non-traditional one. Example number one, you have a strong team. You may say that, yes, we are all young. We are only 21 years old after we graduate, 21, 22. And then we have a variety of nature of partners. Somebody who familiar with Japanese culture, you go for Japanese cake. Somebody good at finance, somebody good at account, etc., etc. So you got a strong team with different expertise, and then you may win. You can beat down the big company, and you have innovative idea as a startup. You have recall. Okay, so with the recall, where is my pointer here? So if you are creative, you are having some innovative idea, you can enjoy the first mover advantage. 飲頭啖湯. You are the pioneer. You can think of something new. Traditional company, they go for traditional one. They don't know, some new technology, new product. So you still can beat them down by being a first mover. 飲頭啖湯, you got advantage. And of course, PICT, SECC, your team are very strong. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, you are very strong because you also have passion for the business. You also have execution intelligence. You got bright idea, etc., etc. And then, yes, you still can beat down the big competitor as a startup. All right. And not only these three, but sometimes if you have a very good business model, which we have covered in Chapter 4, you have a new way to operate, recall, innovative idea, creativities, or you are very good at technology and you register a good domain name. When people search something, and then you are the first one to pop up or the most popular result in the search engine. And of course, you also try to become a first mover advantage here with a new business model here, and then you can craft the way out, have a very new non-traditional approach to industry. And then once again, Tom's for today, yes, I sell shoes, but I will go for a for-profit social organization, one-for-one, people who love doing charity. I need to wear shoes anyway. If I buy from Tom's, I am doing charity. I feel myself comfortable. I fulfill my need of buying a new pair of shoes, but I also helping the people in the poor country, something like this. And next week, also for Warby Parker, people will listen to the presentation, and then they have a new approach in the industry. And then yes, leave it to next week to see how the group present to you about the new approach. So the new startup can also win, can also beat down the giants. Okay. All right. Yes, I know you feel boring. Okay, you feel boring. Now, I will give you 5 minutes break. Come back at 5:20. The time now is about 5:15. 5 minutes break. And also, I will take away the PowerPoint slide for the time being. You can also check the attendance at this moment for the second half of the class. Okay, so let me just try to get this first. Attendance for, hold on, yes, here is the one. Okay, so this is the QR code, and take a break, get some water, and recharge your battery in a few minutes at a time, and then come back. I will continue my crazy lecture. All right. Break time and taking attendance as well. If you cannot see the QR code, let me know. Yes, thank you so much. Done, which is good. Let me see. Okay, thank you, Esther. Thank you, Jim. All these people, thank you so much. Okay, I presume that you have done that. I will take away and then show you the summary notes. Okay, Guai Wai, sorry for the short break. Just help you to relax a little bit and then come back for another hell. Okay, just like going hell, so boring. And then we will have about half an hour to go. Okay. All right. Before the break, we have covered only 2 items, which is talking about the new entrants. We have economies of scale, differentiation, brand royalty, cost disadvantage, blah, blah, blah. But you might think, hey, as a new startup, it is end of the world because I don't have all these. Okay, in case you didn't see the PDF, let me know, all right? And then that's why, as a new startup, if you have recall, you can go for some non-traditional one so that you still can win, you still can enter into the industry to earn your first bucket of gold. 打低對手賺第一桶金. And of course, we also talk about the replacement substitute. Okay, so in the next 20 minutes, we will cover the BES, okay, which is an existing competition, buyer and supplier. All right. Okay, so I will take away this one and then share the, yeah, hold on. Go back to my PowerPoint slide. Let me see. Okay, and share. All right, so here is the PowerPoint slide. Once again, in case you didn't see anything, let me know. Let me go to the. Okay, so you can see from here, yes, even though we cannot beat with people about the traditional barriers, we still can do something innovative. All right, this is the non-traditional barriers to entries. You can create something which make yourself better than others. All right, now third item. Here is the third item. We hold on. So we finished talking about the replacement, substitute, new entrants. Here comes E, existing one. So as far as existing competition is concerned, the major concern is that if we have a lot of competitor currently in the industry, it will affect us simply because you know, the level of competition will have a great impact. The major determinant okay, a very critical factor to see whether you can make a profit, depending on the level of competence, if competitions. All right. Okay, so the more the competitive situation, the lower your profit, because they always go for some so-called cutthroat competition, 割喉式減價. Okay, and then if I sell it for $30, I found out that the competitor sell for $28. In order for me to win, and then I will decrease the price to 26. But when you decrease the price to 26, your competitor to decrease to 22, and then I will further cut down my cost and my price to 20. So it's no good, again, because it will affect your profit, the profitability. And that's why we need to analyze in the industry, are there a lot of existing competitions? And then also, how can I analyze whether they are good or not? All right, so here is the one. We need to take into account both the number and balance. Okay, one extreme example, when we talk about supermarket, and then you may say, hey, don't worry, the number is small. There are basically 2 or 3. Okay, park and shop are welcome. But even though 2 is a small number, unfortunately, this is very imbalanced. The 2 big operator maybe already occupy 90% of the market share. Of course, this is no good. All right, so don't just look at the number. We also need to look at the number and balance. On the other hand, if we are talking about a very small operator selling DIY thing, you may have talking about, hold on, where's my pointer? Talking about 100 operator, but for the 100 operator in your same business, and then they occupy, each of them occupy 1% of the market share. So you still can have ability to fight with them. That's why we need to look at number and balance, because small number doesn't mean good. Big number doesn't mean bad. You also need to consider whether they are market leader. So if the 2 operator, they are market leader, which is no good because they are the giant. They occupy almost the whole market. Okay, it means that that is no good. All right, so this is the first point. And on top of the balance of number of competitor, and of course, we are also talking about the degree of differences. It means that, once again, the concept is the same. The product differentiation, whether you are different from others. If you can recall, 人冇我有，人有我優. Even though there can be lots of competition, but don't worry, mine is always different from others. And then you can be in a better position. You can win, but yours is identical, not much different with other competitor. And then people say, why should I buy your product? And then you have no selling point. And then all you can do is to cut down the price. So when you cut down the price, it's no good, for your profit, something like this. And regarding point C here, all right, the growth rate. Somebody might have seen this before, or if not, talking about the life cycle. I, introduction. G, growth. M, mature. D, decline. Okay, in introductory stage, you still have a lot of potential because it's growing. All right, so going up, blah, 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 blah. And of course, this is the most ideal situation. However, if it is already mature, and then you need to consider, I don't think I should go in because eventually it will decline, 夕陽行業, and then no point. All right, so this is about the growth rate. And talking about point D here, all right, once again, depending on the level of fixed costs. And just now we mentioned, if I am a new operator, I need to pay the rent. The monthly rent is $150,000. It means that each day I am paying $5,000 for the rent itself only, which is very expensive. I need to sell a large amount in order to break even, and then no good to me. I should consider, should I go in industry? Something like this. Okay, so this is about the existing competitions. Okay, so with this 4 points, here are a little bit more detail. Just now I mentioned you should also consider not only one item, but bar number and balance will affect your company's profitability, which you need to decide, should I go in, because there are so many existing competition. Apart from number balance, talking about the 人冇我有，人有我優, the differences in your product nature, whether everybody selling similar thing, identical thing, and of course the growth rate, whether they are starting or they are close to the end 黃昏夕陽行業, and also the fixed cost, whether you need a huge amount of money to break even. All right. Okay, this is about, I'm losing my voice. I got 6 hours of class today. This is crazy. Okay, so B, E, R, and S. B, R, and S. So we finished talking about replacement, new competition, existing competition. So we go for S. All right, supplier. As usual, the first sentence, it shows that if the bargaining power of the supply is low, and then the industry will be attractive, which will be good to you because you are not controlling by the supplier. All right, so later on, I will use a very recent example to do that. So it means that if we have so many suppliers, we can say that, okay, if your quality is no good, if your price is high, I will go for others. However, if the supplier, control you, and then you have no choice, and then to a certain extent, you are in a worse position because it will suppress your profitability. If the supplier low down the price, you ask for a lower price, they reduce the quality, and then your output is no good because they give you poor quality of material, and then end up you need to reduce the price, which is no good to you. Okay, and that's why what we said here, Okay, you always hear the sound. I try to locate my PowerPoint, my mouse here. Okay, so if the supplier try to reduce the quality, and then you need to cut down the price, 將貨就價, all right? Your product will suffer, and then you need to lower the price. Of course, the situation is no good. When the supply is very powerful, okay? Now, here are those terminology that you need to learn. There are several factors which will affect whether the supplier are in a strong position or in a weak position, which will affect your profitability. Example, supplier concentration, which the concept is similar to the number and balance of the supplier. It means that if there are only few suppliers, and then they are strong, it means that you are in a weak position, all right? So what I said will be a very recent example is about medical product. And then you can imagine, let me jump to the next PowerPoint slide. Because of the COVID-19, okay, you can see that only few big giant company, for example, Pfizer, all right. Recently we have Fuxing, okay, Fusen, we have AstraZeneca, 唔知中文叫乜乜乜咩康力加, all right, and then they are the several people company they can provide the vaccine for COVID-19, and everybody in the world are fighting for the vaccine, and that's why the supplier is very concentrated in point 1 here. Okay, and then Hong Kong, including all countries, America, Biden, Hong Kong, Long Bang, Kerry, and then UK, Boris Johnson, they all try to fight for the medicine, fight for the vaccine, because you cannot buy everywhere, anywhere. You need to rely on those several major suppliers. And then, of course, you are manipulated by all these people, okay? And then it will affect you because you need to pay a high price for that, all right? This is the first point. Second point, also another example that I've used earlier. Okay, let me try to do this. Okay, even though that is not exactly a very good example, but at least I hope you understand the concept. When we talk about second item, switching costs, remember just now, restaurant. If I'm operating a Chinese restaurant, I need a very huge venue because we need to have 100 tables of wedding banquet, 延開100席. All right, a large space which we can occupy a lot tables for a large wedding banquet. And then if I try to rent a a venue from the landlord, 我同個業主租呢個場. So the landlord is my supplier. They supply the venue to me, right? Okay, so if I end up got a big venue from landlord, and then I pay 2 million for the rent, okay, 可能月租200萬，我咪100萬啦，冇咁浮誇啦啊。Hold on. I pay $1 million for the rent, 甚至乎50萬咩都好， but I already spent $3 million， 唔好1000萬豪裝啦，8萬豪裝啦 for the renovation. Okay, I spent $3 million for the renovation, and then the owner, the supplier, will feel very happy, and he might say, ha 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 ha, now you fall into my trap. After the 2-year lease, I will increase your rent for 100%. I will double your rent because I know that you have a high switching cost. You spend $3 million 用咗300萬去裝修。And then if you don't, take up the contract renewal, when you go for elsewhere to look for a new place, you need to spend another $3 million. All right, that's why even though I increased your rent from 1 million to 1.5 million, all right, and then you have no choice, but you need to stay, because if you change to other venue, it will be a huge switching cost to you. You need to switch, and then you need to spend another 3 million, and also you lose your customer, so that you won't change, and then you need to accept the landlord, the supplier, to increase your rent. Okay, so that's why the supplier can be very strong if they know that you will suffer a huge switching cost. Okay. So another example, just for example, if I'm using Apple product, iPhone, and then I use iOS, just in case, and then I have all my chat history, all my contact inside my smartphone, and if it is not transferable to Android, okay, and then it will be huge switching cost. If I want to switch from iProduct to Xiaomi, to Huawei, to Samsung, it will be huge switching cost, because I lose all my contact, I lose all my chat history, and then you won't change. You still keep on buying Apple product. So this is the switching cost. All right. And of course, somehow talking about the substitute. If we have a lot of substitute, easy. But if we don't have substitute, and then I need to go for the supplier, because they are the one that supply something unique, I cannot find something to replace, and then I have no choice. And then your supplier can control you. Okay. And now 2 terms. Now you are seeing now so-called forward integration. And later on, let me show you first. Later on, you will see another term called backward integration. Okay, so these are 2 terms for business students, but a lot of you, most of you from Japanese study, don't worry. Okay, I will try to give a little bit explanation on these 2 terms. Backward, forward integration. All right, so here are the example. Sometimes for forward integration, all right, and then if I am Apple shop, no, I am the Apple company, and then I need to rely on SmarTone. I need to rely on 3 Hong Kong to sell my product. Okay, and then if they try to play the trick to trick me, and then I say, okay, I don't care about you, because I will set up my own store. I go one forward, one step forward. In the past, I made the phone, and then I will pass to the distributor to distribute the phone for me. But if they are not good to me, and then in that case, I will set up my Apple store in Causeway Bay, in IFC, and then I don't rely on you. And then that's why they try to get rid of the control by the other party. So this is something like a forward and backward integration. I will do it myself. 我自己去整合 integration 係整理結合。Okay, something like this. Okay, so and this is the supplier. And when we talk about the supplier, here are this concept. And we go for the buyer. The buyer will have a similar concept. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is what we have just covered about the 4 points. Now, Burns' final point here. B-E-R-N-S. Supplier, we just we finished supplier, we finished new competitor, we finished existing competitor, we finished replacement. Now we go for buyer. All right. So once again, the first sentence, if my consumer, the buyer, they do not have a high bargaining power, I can control my buyer and then it will be attractive. I am good. However, if the buyer, they have a strong bargaining power, I am no good. So when the bargaining power of the buyer, the consumer is low, they have no bargaining power, and then I will be in a very excellent positions, okay? Because if they have a lot of choices, they have a high bargaining power, and then they will always threaten you. Hey, I have a lot of replacement substitute. I can buy from a lot of people. If you don't give me discount, a price concession, I won't go for your product. I will go for somebody else. Okay, you say, oh, no, buy my product, please. All right, something like this. Okay, so under that situation, how can we analyze whether the buyer has bargaining power? There are several factors, and the factors are quite similar to supplier, depending on the role you are performing. Okay, once again, the first one, the buyer group concentration. Earlier, we have supplier group concentration. So the example here is, let me show it again. When we talk about supplier, so we talk about medical product, a lot of people in Hong Kong, in UK, people are fighting for the vaccine for COVID-19, but I cannot buy the vaccine in Mong Kok, in Causeway Bay, in Sheung Wan, in Tin Shui Wai. We can only buy from several suppliers, so they are very strong. Now, the situation changed for buyer. And then if I made something, okay, and then unlike potato chips, we have a lot of buyer people, a lot of people, when you walk by some convenience store, you feel hungry, you go in, buy a chocolate bar, you go and buy a Coca-Cola. We have a lot of buyers. But under some situation, it might not be the case. So example, here is the one. All right, so some supplier, they are making airplane. And normally, who will buy the airplane? Of course, we are talking about big airline, Cathay Pacific, Hong Kong Express. They will buy the airplane, all right, because this is the way they try to, organize the routes. Unlike the potato chips, 薯片啊 chocolate bar, 你得閒就會買一條嚟食。But talking about airplane, 你唔會得閒就買一架飛機返屋企，你得閒打下就有啫，你唔會去買㗎嘛。Okay, so what I want to say is the buyer, not all of us, 路人甲、路人乙, they won't buy your product. It will be only several major buyer. Okay, and under that situation, the buyer may have a huge bargaining power. Okay, because JTO won't buy airplane, you won't buy airplane, but only the major airline. And that's why the buyer can have a huge bargaining power, especially when we are talking about,波音公司, if your product is no good or you charge a high price, and then I will go for Airbus, 我會幫襯空中巴士咯，我唔幫襯你波音咯, something like this. And that's why Cathay Pacific, Hong Kong Express, they are the only buyer from Hong Kong, not me, not you. Okay, so that's why the buyer can have a big bargaining power. All right. Okay, and also for the second item here, the buyer's cost. Just now I said that if you feel thirsty, you might just go in the convenience store to buy Coca-Cola, whether this is $3, $4, $5. Okay, when you feel thirsty, you just buy water, Bon Aqua, Watsons. It costs you a few dollars only. You don't care. But if you are talking about, I am going to buy a flat, okay, or not even as large as a flat, I may want to buy a watch. And then you might shop around because they might be expensive to you. Or 買隻勞力士 Rolex, it might cost me say 60,000 平平地6萬蚊一隻, which is very expensive, unlike $5 Coca-Cola. So the buyer will do a careful research if this is expensive to them, and then you need to really try to serve them better in order to get them to buy your product. All right. So item C, the degree of standardization. All right, just like differentiation, and also backward integration. Okay, so here, and Verjoy, they are tissue manufacturer. Okay, and then people who buy them, for example, PARKnSHOP, because they want to sell to the consumer. And then if Verjoy, they didn't treat PARKnSHOP well, the buyer, in this case, PARKnSHOP is the buyer because they, you know, as a retail store, they buy from you. And then PARKnSHOP may say, hey, you don't treat me well. In that case, I will make up my own brand name. I don't buy, you know, buy your product, and then I can have many different, my own brand name. And then, oh, no. I want to sell my Verjoy to you. Okay, so this is 整合, backward integration. This is what we have mentioned. All right. Okay, so to conclude about the burns, here is the one. Okay, so buyer concentration, how many buyer, how much it costs them, nothing or a huge amount. Okay, now 2 more PowerPoint slides before I let you go. So after you have analyzed the burns, and then you can decide that, should I go in? Because you analyze all the burns. And then after that, I will show you how you do the conclusion, all right? And then you can make up your mind, okay, position no good to me, I better quit, don't go inside. Even though you decide to go inside, you can think of a good business model, try to find out the market niche. How can I perform better than my competitor? All right, you craft out an attractive business model. You craft out a very, you know, good idea. How can I sell my product? So how to do this? Let's take a look at this one. All right, let me, okay, try to do it first here. And after analyze the, where am I here? B, E, hold on. E, and then R, and then N, and then S. Burns, existing, new, replacement. So after analyze, and then if my conclusion is that substitute quite high here, and then new entrants also quite here, the position is here, and then there are a lot of existing competition. The bargaining power of the supplier is also high, buyer also somewhere here. So if you have that kind of analysis, talking about the conclusion, they have a lot of substitute, their people can join in easily, existing competition is high, it means that no good, okay? Because you know, they are the people surround you are quite strong, and then it's not really worthwhile to go in. However, here, if people don't have substitute and people cannot join in, and existing competition may be somewhere here, bargaining power of buyer is very low, and then the buyer is maybe somewhere here, Okay, also in a low, and then wow, good. I can control the buyer, I can control the supplier. It will be a good business. I should go in. Something like this. Okay, so this will be the conclusion. Just give you 2 more minutes. All right. So next week I will go for one new topic, but what we said here is to reflect, to conclude. 首尾呼應. What is meant by 首尾呼應? At the beginning, we have 3 questions to ask. Is the industry accessible? Is it underserved? Is there any negative attribute? You know, at the beginning of the class today, and now, before this section finish, you can see that yes, under that situation, after I analyze, and then you can see, should we assess that? Is it accessible? Is it a realistic place? Can I get rid of or try to reduce the impact on that? And whether they have a very bad position, a negative image, and can I craft out a good position to avoid the negative one? And then 人冇我有，人有我優. I do something very innovative idea, and then it's good, and then you should go into industry, something like this. Okay. All right. Yes. It may be a bit complicated, but try to do some revision. And if you have any problem, you can contact me anytime again. Make appointment to explain the concept further. As I said, BERNS will be something that you need to include in your business plan. All right. Okay. 5 minutes overrun. Apologize for that. Otherwise, Yun, thank you for your patience and have a nice evening. I will have a student consultation at 6 something, but I can stay here for another few minutes. In case you want to clarify some point on the spot here, go ahead. All right. Otherwise, officially finish. All right. 好啦，完啦，多謝。Thank you for the patience. 有問題可以問，開咪問我，打喺 chat room 又得。OK， 咁就如果而家要消化下，遲啲問又得。OK，that's it. Thanks and bye all. Bye. Okay, thank you, Judy. Thank you, Lok Yi. See you again next week, which is good. Waiting, yes. Good girl, good boy. Thank you, Esther. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you, Ching. All right, 有嘢問thank you iPad. Okay, yes. 如果有嘢問，可以開咪問啦。我留多1分鐘因為我陣間就要下一場去講第2個student consultation。我 quit 咗佢再入過啦。OK， 好冇 ？Yes. Edwin asked me. I will stop this section and stop doing the recording, and then we'll knock in again. Okay, bye bye everybody. I will quit now because I need to log on again.